Welcome to our new episode of Impact Design. Today I'm interviewing Jeroen van der Most, who is an incredible artist working with AI and technology, and really also looking into our nature and how we have to preserve it, and what he, from an artist point of view, can do, and what we all should do, looking at our beautiful world and nature. And I let Jeroen make an introduction of himself. Very welcome to our episode, and please introduce yourself a bit and give us, our audience, a bit background about yourself, please.
Yeah, thanks, Jasmine. Great to be here. Amazing podcast, very interesting. The past episodes that I watched. I'm an artist, indeed, working with artificial intelligence to create art. And well, AI, artificial intelligence, is you could basically call them these very intelligent computer systems, which can work with all kinds of data. So, for example, data for a computer could be an image or a text, piece of text, a text fragment, or a piece of music. And AI can really study and interpret this data and base all sorts of conclusions on it. And when it really understands the structure of data, we can also use it to create. So to use artificial intelligence to create new kinds of imagery or texts or, again, music, whatever. Basically everything that you could put in data, you could study and create new stuff with using artificial intelligence. And that's basically what I do. So I create artworks autonomously for private collectors, maybe for a museum or an exhibition, but also work a lot for organizations, so universities or nonprofits, but also more commercial firms. Yeah.
Excellent. What kind of triggered your interest in AI? Coming from an artistic background is not like so obvious, What is it that there must have been like a trigger in your life or something?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, basically started with the technology. So like 12 years ago, I was working in the market research and data science sector. And I was using algorithms there a lot to actually study online conversations on, for example, Twitter. And then I would analyze these huge amounts of tweets by people to actually get a feeling for how people were thinking, or at least thinking on social media about all sorts of societal issues, but also how they thought about brands or products of those brands. And at some point, I got kind of bored out with the use of that technology specifically for research. So I decided to start trying to use it for more creative purposes. So what I did was basically use those same algorithms at some point to start creating visuals. And these visuals, these kind of evolved into what you might call art. And some of these projects really got lifted, went virally globally. And that's really pushed me to spend increasing amounts of time and effort into creating artworks using technologies. And these technologies eventually, maybe around 2013, 2014, these algorithms basically evolved in what we still today call artificial intelligence. These really, it's a next level again in intelligence based on computer systems.
Well, we all know, very curious to see maybe some of your projects. So what is one of your favorite projects, and would be nice if you can, after you explain it a bit, maybe share it with us?
Yeah, definitely. I will show it in a second. It's called Letters from Nature. That's one of my favorite projects of the last, basically the last year. And I launched it together with a friend of mine, Peter van der Putten. He's associated with Leiden University in the Netherlands. And Letters from Nature is an artwork that uses artificially intelligent created text. And we basically started this project from the idea, or the worrying idea that we all know, or the fact that we all know, is that climate change at this moment is basically destroying the planet. And nature itself doesn't really have a voice in the natural or in the societal debate. So what we did in the project Letters from Nature was actually use artificial intelligence to give nature a voice, to give nature the capacity to write letters and send these letters about climate change, about the climate crisis, to world leaders, and warn about climate change, ask for help, and complain. And I can show you the movie now. I'll do a share.
What you see here is the system that's starting to write one of the first letters from an ice cap to a president, and it says, "Dear Mr. President, we're melting. It hurts. We're sad. We're dying. Please do not forget us, your friend, ice cap." These letters were sent out to worldwide leaders like President Trump that you see in this fragment, the letter being put into the envelope. But there were more letters. "Dear President, I'm Nauru, an island in Micronesia. I'm just one of the Pacific islands. We're all being swallowed by the sea. My friend Fiji is trying to hold on to what is left of his land. I'm worried about him too. I need your help."
Very, very interesting. Maybe you can tell us about it now a bit, now that we've seen it. And also, did any of the presidents ever responded? Would be my question.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but not totally unexpected that none of these presidents actually, we didn't get any response about the project. So that's quite disappointing. But then again, I know from experience, or at least the basic idea behind such a project as this is also that the project itself becomes this medium to actually bring out this message to the public and to actually bring forward this new idea about how we could use technology to actually build a new relationship with the natural world. And in that sense, the project itself was what we considered pretty successful, in the sense that it generated a lot of media attention, especially in the Netherlands. And we got into a lot of conferences and talks about it to actually spread these ideas.
And where did you actually showcase it first? I mean, how did you make it, public?
Well, that's basically most of these projects all start just by showcasing it on social media at first. Mm-hmm. And then it's basically based, maybe to give a little bit of an insight also into how this works. It's based on the latest, the most advanced text generation AI system. It's called GPT-3. And it basically has the capacity to generate new text because it knows all, or it studied at least the whole textual internet. Because it studied all those texts, it kind of gets a feeling, or at least a statistical knowledge about structure in text and how people use words and how people write lines of text and what styles of writing there are. And because of that, you can give it a starting sentence. For example, a sentence like a letter from a melting ice cap to a president. And then the system predicts the most logical or illogical response to or follow-up of that first textual line of text that you gave it. And then what you actually get is something that you could actually imagine to be like this letter written by an ice cap to a president. And what we did also in the first phase of this project was actually share this project with the organization OpenAI behind GPT-3, and they started spreading this artwork also, which generated this pretty big reach internationally already at the start of the project.
Fantastic. It's very impressive. What could you say, what is your vision on technology, and how do you think could it be used to influence a more sustainable tomorrow?
Yeah, the basic vision behind my work on technology is that when you look at technology nowadays, most people will see technology as a human tool. So it's a tool to actually to be used by humans, to be used but to satisfy the desires of the human. So which often results in the exploitation of, for example, nature by using technology. And my vision is that you could also kind of rethink technology and use it as a medium to actually bridge the boundaries between ourselves, the illusionary boundaries between ourselves and our environments, to come closer to nature again, and actually build a more intense relationship with nature, which starts by building understanding and empathy, which is basically also the core idea behind the Letters from Nature project, to deepen that relationship with nature.
So I would understand it wouldn't replace the personal factor in art and design, but it would be just another medium intertwining to kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And maybe also to put it a little bit in perspective, I know a common idea about artificial intelligence is also that artificial intelligence is this kind of magic technology that is creating on its own. But that's not really the case. It's purely, or at least I see AI, or at least I see it as a more realistic view of AI, is that it is this human-machine cooperation at the moment, in which both machine and human have a big role. In the sense that it's the human who builds the systems and actually tells what data to use and curates the output, tweaks the output. So it's more about cooperation than about AI taking over. And in my vision, the ideal situation will at some point be that it is actually the trigger or this bridge towards our environment and deeper relationships with our environment.
Yes, I agree. And I think it's in technology that we can find solutions on all the challenges we are facing with the environment. So it's, with the advanced technology, there might be new inventions that will take care of pollution, of many problems we have today, of the climate change in general. So another project that really caught my attention was the Shard Transformation Project. Can you again give us a little background about this one? And I know you have something prepared to show us.
Yeah, definitely. We'll show it in a sec. Yeah, the Shard Transformation Project. Well, Letters from Nature was about building empathy and understanding between humans and nature. But there's also, you could imagine that there's also in that evolution of the relationship between the human and the natural, there's also a next step or something which is, like a next step in this evolution of the relationship. And that evolution will lead towards, or might lead towards, actually co-creation between humans on the one side and nature on the one side. So the Shard Transformation is based on the idea that we can use technology to actually work together with nature to co-design or do a shared creation of a better world. I can show you again a little video of this project.
This art project started with human destruction, like our world faces every day. I then took pictures of thousands of forest flowers to train an AI system on the flower shapes, so the AI could reconstruct the shards in natural shapes. The system tells me how to rebuild the mirrors. Technology often drives humans and nature apart. But doesn't our fractured world need a new perspective? Couldn't we design technology that lets humans and nature work together? And wouldn't true change need a shared transformation?
Yeah, so that was Shard Transformation.
Thank you. So what would be like your, any more to add on it?
It's basically an exploration of new ways of actually doing shared creations with nature through technology. And this again is an example also of how the final end artwork or the movie even of the artwork serves as a medium again to actually spread these messages about new technology, and which leads to all kinds of conversations, conferences, etc. But also, like the conversation we're having now is again an example of like this power that creativity, art has to actually bring forward these messages and bring people together also.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good example of how it can all be an expression of, what is happening in the world, and using different technologies, different mediums, the medium of art and poetry, and kind of meaningful message to everyone, and at the same time. So I find it really interesting. Before we conclude on your impact, maybe you mentioned that you also have done something with Amnesty International. What is your ideal project where you can have impact?
Well, yeah, my dream projects, ideal projects, yeah, they basically have a couple of components. And the first component, it does have always this technological component, this component of emerging technology, but it's also about societal impact. So it has to be about these important societal issues that you see nowadays playing. And it has to be about actually exploring ideas of a future, of a better future, of showing where we can go and maybe where we should go.
Yes, so I guess that's the impact on design, art, and technology you like to have, and you're not excluding one or the other. You're just putting it all together and giving it.
For me, it's all together. I just hope that at some point, some people will find just a little bit of inspiration to actually rethink our role in the world, rethink technology, and actually feel there's somewhere the urge to and the motivation, the energy to actually build a better tomorrow together.
Well, that I think is a very good concluding sentence. Thank you so much for sharing your work, your ideas, and your philosophy behind. And I look forward to see more and eventually collaborate. That would be very
definitely looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the episode with Jeroen and his exploration of how to combine AI, art, and technology. I think there are many ways to express our concerns about the climate change, and I'm very excited to interview these kind of really incredible artists who are having their own view on what they can do with their work, because it's not just designers and architects who can do something, but artists are expressing their feelings and through their work. And I think also combining it with technology is very exciting. So hope you all learn something from it and see the world in a bit in a different lens. And see you next week.